From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Hickson, along with my dear friend on the phone.
Yes, the hottest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV, giving you all the questions so that I can answer them for you at the same time. My first question is, besides the NFL playoffs, I just want to know, did the Astros get what they deserved?
Yes, they did.
Or should they have been taking the World Series from them?
No, what's done is done. They're not going to revoke the World Series. That's a little extreme right there. But I will say this. What the Astros did in the aftermath, firing A.J. Hinch and the general manager, this just goes to show you how embarrassed this franchise is right now. Even with the GM saying that he's not a cheater, it's painfully obvious from all of the evidence that got presented that the Astros were really making their mark in the video room, trying to steal as many signs as possible. So now that the Astros punishment has been taken care of, now we can focus on what's going to happen with the Red Sox, because apparently the Red Sox were caught stealing signs as well. So what is this going to mean for Alex Cora? Is he going to get a suspension? And is he going to get fired? Or is he just going to get a fine, just like the Astros did? Because the Astros got $5 million in fines. So what will this mean for the Red Sox now?
Wait a minute. It was $5 million in fine. The first two draft choices are from 220 and 221.
You mean 2020?
Yeah, 2020 and 2021.
I think that's a more than fair
Then
punishment
afterwards,
that the Astros got.
it was the GM can't be in baseball for a year, and the coach can't be in baseball for a year.
Not only can they not be in baseball for a year, they're both out of a job.
Yeah, but and then so Alex Cora, think about it. Either his suspension's because I read that his suspension's going to be worse. Now, if his suspension's going to be worse, then
the Red Sox have no choice but to make some kind of decision like the Astros did.
But the players' union's got to get in there or something, because it's got to be either similar or less. It can't be more.
See, here's the situation. Alex Cora is not a player anymore. He's retired, so technically they can't do anything for him. They can only help active players. Okay,
but I'm sure that he could hire a lawyer or something, because
he could definitely get some representation to try and defend himself. But right now, all the evidence is pointing straight at him.
No, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, should he get the same suspension or less?
Should he get the same suspension? Without question, he should get the same suspension. There should never be any cutting corners in this game.
Now, what happens if they give him more? Then what do you say to that?
Then I would say that the Astros would probably want to cry foul, for lack of a better term over here. If it means maybe give Cora a 2-year suspension, then definitely the Astros would cry foul. Although maybe they shouldn't have to, because they fired the two culprits in the first place.
Wait a minute. No, that doesn't make sense. If they give Cora 2 years and they give the Astros 1 year, it's Boston that should be hell infuriated, because they're giving this guy 2 years. They're giving him more than what the other people got.
Nope.
So
my guess,
unless he did something worse than what the Astros did, then you can't give him any more. The only thing I can either give him less or equal.
Well, keep in mind, this isn't anything like gambling. Gambling is going to be a progressively worse punishment here. All Cora is accused of is stealing signs. My guess is he's going to get the exact same punishment that AJ Hinch and the general manager got. And my guess also would be maybe Alex Cora is out of a job. Here's another question that needs to be asked here. What do you think Yankee fans are thinking? The Yankee fans saw their team lose twice in 3 years to the Astros in the American League Championship Series. The first time was in the same year that not only did the Astros beat the Yanks, but beat the Dodgers to win the World Series, and that was also the same year of these supposed sign stealing issues. Do you think that the Yankees might want to cry foul again, for lack of a better word, about what's happened, or maybe they'll let bygones be bygones and just go into Twitter and start mocking the Astros for what's happened?
I wouldn't mock them, but I'm sure there's going to be fans out there suing them because think of it. When was it, the Packers last year, that blown call that you knew that it was in the favor, I think, of the Packers, but they gave it to the other team. Is that the famous call?
Are you talking about the Russell Wilson game?
Yeah.
Oh, that was 8 years ago.
No. Just last year it happened. In the playoffs. They were going to make the playoffs if it wasn't for this particular call as pass interference or something.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, you're talking about that Saints-Rams game.
Yeah, exactly. The Saints-Rams game.
Well, this is totally different. This is a referee's incompetence.
No. Even the fans went and tried to get into the courts and say it caused me emotional stress.
Oh, please. These fans are taking the game way too seriously, first of all. And second of all,
passionate fans
I know they're passionate fans, but they need to really chill when it comes to this game. It is strictly a game. This is not life or death for them. This is not paying their salaries. This is not putting food on their table. This is strictly them watching a game of football. And I can tell you right now, whoever brought this to court, the judges probably tossed that suit just as soon as it got to their table.
Because it wasn't just one fan. There was a lot of people.
I get that they're upset, but quite frankly, that ship sailed a long time ago. And it also brought about reviewing pass interference calls, whether they occurred or not. Not to say that it evened everything out, but it is something that wound up occurring in the aftermath. I would kind of like to see replays being done for every single penalty that's called or not called. But then again, that's just me, and it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that because, quite frankly, this is only going to make the game longer than it already is.
But now that the Astros have been caught cheating, will they give them an asterisk? Not that that means anything.
No, they're not going to get an asterisk. The Astros are the world champions in 2017, and it just so happens that they wound up stealing signs thanks to video replay.
Right, but that's still cheating, no matter how you slice it.
It's still cheating, but it's 2 years after the fact. Nothing else is going to be done after this.
They did last year, too.
Yeah.
That's what they complained about, that they did 2 years straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and they won, no, man, who won the World Series last year? They did. So
it was actually the Nationals.
Oh, the Nationals. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So there's going to be an asterisk. There's going to be people saying that there should be an asterisk next to them because they really didn't win, because they cheated. Oh, that there's got to be some type of do-over.
You think they're going to have these guys replay the World Series over again? I mean, come on. No, that's not going to happen.
I'm just saying that there's got to be something where something's got to happen. They can't keep on letting things like this happen. And then let's say I
Well,
win the
take take the video equipment out of the clubhouse, first of all. And second of all, if you're going to steal signs, do what Willie Mays did. Just use your eyes. Peek into the dugout every once in a while. Look at the pitcher's body language. See, that's one way that you could tell that a pitcher's coming through is through a pitcher's body language. Usually, it's the pitcher themselves that's going to tip pitches. They're either going to have their shoulder in or out. They're either going to have they're either going to expose the ball with their pitching hand or not. So there's a way for players to steal signs. Just look at the environment around you. And they've been doing this for years. It just so happens that now is a lot more sophisticated because of the equipment that we have.
True. And they're getting caught easier, too, because of the equipment that they have as well. So one way or another, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Yankees or Mets should go after Nolan?
Nolan Arenado?
Yes.
Of the Rockies?
Yes.
He would be really good on either the Mets or the Yankees, to be honest with you, because technically the Yankees could use a little help at third base. Although at this time, it's looking more and more like Miguel Andujar is going to be taking his spot at third base back. Although the Yankees could still use a little bit of power in that spot. The place where he would be a lot more suited to is the Mets, because the Mets do have a need for a power-hitting third baseman right now, and he would be perfect at that position for the Mets. But the Mets would have to give up a real pretty penny in order to get Arenado, and quite frankly, I just don't see it. I don't think the Mets have enough to try and make a deal.
Well, give the Mets credit for signing Syndergaard again.
Yep, gave him a brand new deal after settling with him in arbitration. In fact, the Yankees settled with every single one of their arbitration-eligible players, all 9 of them, and gave them brand new deals.
Yeah, because I tell you, what I see, you don't see the Yankees or the Mets making a big splash anymore, do they? Do you think?
I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, the Yankees could still use some help in their bullpen, and I already heard the name Josh Hader from the Brewers, but there's been nothing going on with that kind of deal. Oh, speaking of Mets, the ex-Met Todd Frazier got himself a new job because he signed with the Texas Rangers.
Good for him.
Yep. It's a modest deal. He only got a year, and he got chump change, if you ask me. I think he got about $2 or $3 million. But still, he gets himself a job, and he can be a good influence in that young clubhouse in Arlington.
One of the questions here says, did Major League Baseball get Astros punishment correct?
Yes, they did. A whole 1-year suspension and a $5 million fine. And after the fact, the 2 guys wound up getting their walking papers. I thought that Major League Baseball did a very good job. Now let's see what they do with the Red Sox, because the Red Sox were stealing signs as well. Who's going to be the fall guy here? Is it going to be Alex Cora, or is it going to be somebody else?
Whoever they may be. But let me ask you, the Giants and their new head coach.
Yep, the Giants finally got themselves a head coach. It's Joe Judge, who's a longtime assistant with the Patriots. It really just shames me as a Giant fan to see these people so negative and so unhappy and just sound the alarm so quickly after getting a hire like this. Let me tell you, Joe Judge is a guy who has learned from 2 future Hall of Famers in this sport. He's learned from Bill Belichick on the Patriots, with whom he was there roughly a decade. And he also learned from Nick Saban, because he coached under Nick Saban at Alabama for a short time. Did you also know this kid actually took a job teaching physical education to kindergarten kids while he was studying for his master's degree?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to talk about paying dues? Coaching and teaching kindergartners at the same time is really paying dues. And also busting his tail while learning under Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. If you get a recommendation from Bill Belichick about a head coaching gig, you know that this guy is good. And seeing his press conference, I saw his press conference on the Giants' YouTube site. It's painfully obvious that this guy means business. So I'm hoping that the Giants can surround him with some really, really good players. That way, he could be given a chance to succeed, because this guy looks like he can be a keeper for a while.
And coaches. That's
right. He also got himself a new defensive coordinator, who was the guy who had the same job over in Miami. So he's got a DC to work with. Now,
quarterback coach, too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A quarterback coach, too. Now, let's see what kind of personnel he gets surrounded with. This draft is going to be huge for the Giants. We already know that they're going to be picking fourth, right behind the Bengals, the Redskins, and the Detroit Lions. Oh, no, the Arizona Cardinals. No, correction. It is the Lions after all. They're picking fourth after the Bengals, Redskins, Lions. So, and it's going to be a really interesting decision what kind of help they want to get. Do they want to get help on defense? Do they want to get help at receiver? There's some pretty good prospects on both sides of the ball. I saw one of their mock drafts, and one of the kids from the University of Georgia was slotted to be picked by the Giants at number 4. And at this rate, Joe Burrow, who, by the way, is going to play for a national championship tonight for LSU against Clemson, Joe Burrow is in line to play for his hometown Bengals.
And the kid from Ohio decided to stay at college, too.
Ohio State, that's right.
The running back? The running back.
Mm-hmm. And also, speaking of Ohio State, Chase Young, who was the best defensive player last year, might be picked by either the Redskins or by the Lions at 2 or 3.
Now, that kid that I just mentioned, is he a sophomore, senior?
Well, he's not supposed to declare after his junior year or after his redshirt sophomore year. So let's I'd have to know the kid's name, first of all. You have to see if you could find out his name.
Okay. Because he just won some type of an award. That's why. He was Ohio State's running back or something of that nature.
I know who you're talking about.
And he said he wasn't declaring for the draft.
Yep.
He was going to stay one more year.
There's a kid from Oklahoma State who's also declaring.
That's what I mean.
There's a kid from Oklahoma State who also decided to return for his senior year.
See, that's
Can't really fault these kids. I mean, they want to be able to improve their game for one more year before they turn pro.
Yeah, but the way I see it too is, I know the education means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're one of the best in that position already, my concern is that you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And if you get hurt and you have a bad injury,
mm-hmm.
there goes your football career out the window because, I know college is supposed to be paying for your education,
mm-hmm.
but you want to make your money first. That's how come people like to come out of the draft first, right, as quick as possible, make their money,
yeah,
and then go back to school or try something new. You know, some of these people need management money because once they get money, they get crazy.
You mean money management?
Yeah, that too. Because these people get crazy. They'll start buying houses for their friends and family.
I know.
And then by the time they're finished, they're broke.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like MC Hammer.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel bad for those guys, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tyson, even though he's coming back pretty strong, especially with the cannabis thing that he has. But all in all, how do you see the mock draft coming out? Who do you see coming out first, second, third, or fourth so far?
Well, I already mentioned that Joe Burrow is going to be drafted first.
Okay.
And that Chase Young is in line to be picked second or third, I think.
Right.
Maybe we could see somebody like Justin Fields, maybe.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Justin Fields possibly might be picked in the top 10 or maybe the top 20.
Right.
Who the Giants are going to pick and who the Jets are going to pick, I know the Jets are going to pick 12th. They've dropped down to number 12 after winning 6 of their last 8.
Right.
At this rate, the Jets really could use a franchise wide receiver.
Did you read that article?
Depends on which article you're talking about.
The one that Wellington Mara wants Manning back?
I can believe that. I mean, after what Manning did for that franchise for 16 years, I would like to think that he would say something nice about the guy.
I would
and that he would want him back.
I would say there would be a 15-1 odd that the Giants would draft another quarterback and get rid of Daniel Jones. Not Daniel Jones, whoever the quarterback is. The new guy, because it was the coach's quarterback, the other coach's quarterback first.
You already mentioned Daniel Jones, and he's not going anywhere. I'm telling you, I don't know what you have against this kid, but Daniel Jones has a lot of potential. I'm telling you.
I have nothing.
After having seen what he did to the Redskins with the game that he had, who is to say that he's not going to have any more games like this down the road? The kid, it's not like the kid is some CYO kid that came off the street. I mean, the kid is good. He's athletic. He's got a strong arm. He's got to take care of the football, though, and he has got to improve his field vision. If there is a wide open receiver, get the ball to him. Taking care of the football and field vision are two things that he really, really, really has to try and improve upon.
If they bring back Eli Manning, do you think he's a starter, or do you think there's going to be a competition as to be a starter?
Knowing how the new guy that just got here is, he's going to have to try and make a declaration as to who the number one starter is going to be, because we saw his press conference and he never said a word about what's going to happen with the quarterback position. So my guess is there's going to be some kind of competition.
And there's another thing. The veterans are scared of him.
The veterans they better be scared of him because he's going to kick their butts.
Because that's the thing, that he may be too tough on the veterans, and the veterans may not like it because they already know. You know how
bad.
You know how certain veterans can get there late.
Yeah.
And
let me tell you, Tom Coughlin was the exact same thing. If a veteran showed up late, the door to the classroom was going to be closed, and he would not be allowed in. If these veterans don't like it, they can look for work someplace else, and there can be somebody else, someone hungry. Someone who wants to win, who can take their spots. More than happy to.
There are some veterans that don't have to be there on the first practice. They can show up a month later. It says so in their contract.
Yes, I understand that, Hector, but at the
my
same
argument,
time, this guy is trying to impose his style into the locker room. And quite
right?
frankly, I find it refreshing. After
Do you
being
think he should get?
subjected to Pat Shermer and that other idiot who was with the team not barely 2 years, this team needs a new voice.
Do you think that a coach can be too strong?
He can be too.
In terms of,
I mean,
because
he
what's his
can
name?
be
Tom
too strong,
Coughlin
but
was,
at the same time, he also has to learn how to be a player's type of coach.
because
That's why
Tom
you see
Coughlin,
guys like Rex Ryan and Jerry Glanville or Todd Bowles fail miserably in the locker room because they never, ever get the support of the players.
because remember something, Tom Coughlin had a reputation of
Yes, we know that.
not getting along with the veterans, and finally he had to adjust
That's
to
exactly
to
right.
the play, and then they got along fine after.
That's exactly
3
right.
years.
And that's why things were very difficult that first year at the Meadowlands. And then
2 years,
after that, they made the playoffs 4 years in a row, which included a Super Bowl. And then there was that one other time that they won that second Super Bowl. Unfortunately, things after 8 years, things wound up souring really quickly. So,
But sometimes you can hear the same message over and over again, and you're a veteran. You've already heard the damn message, and you're tired of hearing the same message over again. That's the thing.
you already don't like the guy, do you?
No, I like the guy. There is no right or wrong with me. I'm just saying that from what I've read and from what I've read and from what I've heard people talking about, that he seems more like what's the guy, the Yankee, the manager for the Yankees.
Are you talking about Joe Girardi
No, the other dude.
or Aaron Boone?
No, before him. Before
Torrey?
No, before him.
Before Joe Torre?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Buck Showalter?
Buck Showalter. I think he's good for the young guys, but when it comes to the veterans, after 3 years or 4 years, you could only take so much of him. So,
Hector,
I'm just listen. I'm just.
you
just
talk about these
comparing.
veterans being afraid. They need to be very afraid
They should.
because this guy is going to come here to work.
Yeah.
If they don't appreciate the hard work, well, they can retire from the game.
No, but
The
some of them-
choice is theirs.
No, there are some veterans out there that they play their asses off too, and they're like, okay, well, every year I come into shape, every year I do this, and every year I do that. Look at my stats. What can you do? So you
Keep
gotta, there's
working.
two sides of the coin. I'm not saying you're right, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's going to be a refreshing thing in there because you got more young guys than older guys.
I'm not saying
young guys-
I'm not saying it either. All I'm saying is these guys better come to work because
Yeah,
he's
I'm sure.
bringing in a whole new attitude. And quite frankly, I expect things to get better. Not necessarily playoff positioning or playoff appearance better, but I expect things to be a hell of a lot better than 4-12. Let's put it that way.
I wish the Jets would get rid of their coach too, because that boy, like I said, after what he did to that wide receiver, no, the running back, Le'Veon Bell. Nah, I can't. I can't deal with that.
Well, you already admit that you don't like the guy, so let
No,
me put
it's not
it
that.
this way: the guy is not going anywhere, and the
Yeah,
only
that
reason
guy.
why he's here is because the Jets finished the season on a winning streak, 6 out of 8, and
Yeah.
quite frankly, the Jets deserved those wins that they got
they
the
did.
second half of the season because they played their butts off. Sam Darnold played his butt off for that team the second half of the year. The numbers didn't show it, but man, let me tell you, he's another kid who has the potential to be a really good player in this game.
I just wish that there would have been a happy medium, because I think if they would have given him the I think if they would have given him the ball to Le'Veon Bell more, I think they would have won more games, or something better would have happened.
Well, something needs to be done with that offense. I mean, whether it's the interim owner sitting down with Gase to have a chat about the direction of the offense, or maybe bringing in an offensive coordinator or something. But Le'Veon Bell has got to get the football more. You know, to his credit, Le'Veon Bell has had a refreshingly positive attitude about this whole thing. Now, let's see what he does his second year with the Jets, though.
Yeah, well, it all depends how the coach is going to treat him, because look at what the coach said in the press conference. That's not
kept on evading. He kept on evading the question about what's going to happen with Bell.
Exactly. Instead of going, I'm glad he'll be back next year. We're going to try to work with him. No, that's up to him. You don't say that, even if you don't want him there. You don't say that. You just do the go the diplomatic route and say, hey, listen, when he's there, we're going to work. That's it. And if he gets traded, oh well. But all in all, do you see the Jets and Giants improving next year?
I definitely see the Jets improving next year, and I really do see the Giants improving next year as well. But like I said, not to the point where there's going to be any playoff games in 2020 or January 2021. And by the way, part of the reason why Adam Gase really phased out Le'Veon Bell was because he did not appreciate Le'Veon Bell signing for all that money, and also sitting out a whole season just to get a deal.
That was with Pittsburgh. That has nothing to do with the Jets.
Yeah, but sitting out a whole year rubs a lot of coaches the wrong way, man. You can't have a player think that he's bigger than said team and expect to get himself a deal.
But you know something? When it happens to you, that's when you try to fix it. But until that time, when he's trying to work and earn his check, and you're saying, screw you, buddy, you're not going to earn your check with me, even though the GM was the one that signed him. So if the GM was the one that signed him, then you should play him, because just like in baseball and everything else, you're not going to let the guy, your money man, sit on the bench. You got to work him. Plain and simple. There's two thoughts of that. You either bench him or you play him.
Well,
if he does something
hopefully
wrong,
he'll get more
him.
time. You know, it's interesting that we're talking about all of this lack of opportunities. Did you know that Le'Veon Bell actually touched the ball over 300 times this past season?
800 rush.
Yep. He had 800 yards rushing on about 230 carries, and I think he caught another 70 or 80 passes. So when you think about it, he did get some work, but he was not given as many
touches as he could have had.
Touches carrying the ball as he did catching the ball.
Exactly.
Hopefully this will change next season, and maybe the two will sit down. Unless you trade him, if somebody's going to want to make a deal for him, then that other team is going to want the Jets to carry the majority of that money, because there is no way the Steelers are going to get all that money, or any other team for that matter.
Speaking of playoffs, these hard-hitting games that we had.
Well, of course, said he with tongue so firmly planted in cheek. Tell you what, that first game that we saw, San Francisco and Minnesota, I will admit, the 49ers dominated that game so badly. But that was because their defense was a lot more solid, rock solid, than the people want to give him credit for. Plus, Jimmy Garoppolo was a hell of a player. I mean, the way he has grown ever since he got traded by the 49ers by the Patriots, he has become an elite type player at quarterback. But what about the upset of the playoffs so far? This has happened twice in a row now, and it's been done by Tennessee. And all of this talk about Ryan Tannehill deserving a contract extension by the Titans, keep in mind, Ryan Tannehill has thrown for a total of 133 yards, and he has not even completed 50% of his passes. He's just over 51%. So all this talk about Ryan Tannehill deserving a contract extension because of what he's done, no. The defense has been shutting teams down. Look what they did to New England. Look how they were rushing Tom Brady. And just this past weekend, look what they did to Lamar Jackson, rushing him over and over and over again. And you look at the numbers that Lamar Jackson had. He threw for over 300 yards and ran for over 100. That's 400 yards of total offense by himself.
So
but
who do they play now?
Now it's going to be Tennessee and Kansas City.
Who's the upside?
Right now, Tennessee has all the momentum going. Why? Because of their defense. Lamar Jackson got over 400 yards of offense, but Tennessee put a real hurting on the kid. They bottled up his chances of getting really good runs, really game-changing runs, and also they made Lamar Jackson throw the ball almost 60 times in that game. That's the scouting report on Lamar Jackson. He's a great runner, but you do not want him running amok the way he did during the regular season. You want him to throw the ball as often as possible because even though his arm is strong, he has his moments where he can either be very, very erratic or very, very careless looking down the field. And also, what about the way that Kansas City came from 24-0 down to win by 20 points over Houston? 51-31 was the score. And the reason why that happened is because Patrick Mahomes is the best player. Not just the best quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL right now. He was just making runs that were game changers. He was spotting the ball very, very well downfield. He was looking for open receivers. The way he throws the ball sidearm and with as much power as he does is just unbelievable.
Is he part of the old guard or the new guard?
Patrick Mahomes is a third-year player right now who could be, as a matter of fact, he is the future of the NFL. Whereas we had Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger. Now we've got Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jimmy Garoppolo. We still have Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, won what turned out to be a close one against the Seahawks. It only ended with a 5-point difference. But Aaron Rodgers once again showed how he was able to make the biggest and most clutch plays in yesterday's game. Leading by 5 and on the verge of maybe punting, Aaron Rodgers made 2 big third down plays, which resulted in them sealing the game. So now it's going to be Green Bay and San Francisco in the NFC title game, along with... I still like San Francisco in this one. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is just tremendous. I think their running game is a lot more underrated than people give them credit for. The defense is outstanding. And also, they have a tight end, George Kittle, who now has emerged as the best tight end in the NFL right now. I think he might be one of the 10 best players in the NFL, along with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Jimmy Garoppolo too, Julio Jones also.
So what you would like to see is Jimmy Garoppolo versus Patrick Mahomes.
That would be an outstanding matchup right there. I would be okay with a Green Bay versus Kansas City matchup, which also leads to this. Green Bay and Kansas City was the very first Super Bowl matchup. January 1967 in Los Angeles.
Yep. True that.
Now, as far as what else is going on in the world of sports, do you want to touch on anything, or do you want to keep on discussing stuff?
All the 40-year-old quarterbacks, what's going to happen to them?
Well, I think we know. Well, my personal opinion on Tom Brady is that he returns next year. The question is, who's he going to play for? Is he going to play for the Patriots, or is he going to play for somebody else? There's a rumor going around that he might go over to the Los Angeles Chargers so he could be closer to his San Francisco home. I don't see it happening, because why would the Chargers trade in a 38-year-old quarterback in exchange for a 42-year-old quarterback? It just does not make any sense whatsoever. As far as Drew Brees is concerned, you don't have to worry about Drew Brees. He's definitely coming back for one more year. In fact, he's already 40 years of age, but I think he's got at least two or three really, really good years left on him. He's still throwing the ball terrifically. I just think they need one more piece on each side of the ball to really get them over the top.
Well, you got to figure on how the owner and what's his name, Brady, because it's got to be Brady and Belichick, because I'm sure Belichick wants to change him. Wants to get rid of him eventually.
Bill Belichick definitely wants him out of there so he can move on with somebody else. But here's the problem.
But the owner doesn't want him, I guess.
Oh, no. That's not true.
The owner wants him.
Robert Kraft is a huge Tom Brady supporter.
Exactly.
And just to give you an idea about how opposite their thinking is when it comes to Brady, Bill Belichick actually had a trade in place with an unspecified team to send away Brady. And he wanted Robert Kraft's signature on it, and Robert Kraft refused. Tom Brady is going to play somewhere next year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him play until he was 45, the way he says. His 43rd birthday is coming up in August. So you figure 2 or 3 really good years left in Brady, although this past season was a little tough for him, because not only did he get beat up a little bit more than usual, he didn't have as much accuracy on his throws like he did in years past.
Also, he didn't have the people around him.
And he also did not have the people around him. He didn't have a number one receiver. He didn't have a tight end. So
Gronkowski retired.
Yeah, Rob Gronkowski, he retired. And the way he's goofing off on television in certain places, it looks like Gronkowski is going to stay retired after 9 years.
You know, but what I see is there's going to be a change. There's going to be a lot of changes, and there's going to be new people coming up and so on.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were.
But remember what I spoke to you about before, what's going to happen in the Olympics?
Yes. You and I had a really fascinating telephone conversation over the weekend about this being an Olympic year. This is the year of... That's right. This is a summer Olympic year. It's going to be in Tokyo.
I thought it was in France.
Actually, France is 2024.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, 2028, it's going to be in Los Angeles.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm thinking about saving up some money so I can go to LA and watch a couple of my favorite Olympic sports, specifically basketball and track and field.
But let's see, because I think in 2024, or 2024, get ready, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Breakdancing. coming to Olympics.
Yep. Which means we're going to be seeing dancers
Sabadoo.
from all over the world dancing to Sucker MCs by Run DMC
Yeah.
or Rapper's Delight by the
Yeah.
Sugar Hill Gang and a little new school music mixed in.
And we're going to see out of retirement Zabadoo from.
Yeah, Shabadoo's going to come out of retirement and represent the United States.
And his other boy, too. I forgot his name.
Mm-hmm.
Those two, they're going to come out of retirement and go, I still got it, man. I still got it.
You know, there was a time when breakdancing was a real artistry back in the day.
Then in the year 2000 or 2019, or 2010 or 15, crunking came back. Crunking came hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Zabadoo and I forgot the other guy, Todd Bridges. They were comparing who was the best dancer between crunking and breakdancing.
Yeah.
And they were judging and it balanced out. But I'm just saying, breakdancing as an Olympic sport. You don't have Greco-Roman dancing, which came from the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have scholarship for this.
That's right.
And I'm sure that the only reason why they're doing this is to try to get young people in. The
Of
next
course.
thing we talked about is video games.
Yeah. Video games have become such a cash cow all over the planet. They're having tournaments where these kids are making tons and tons of money winning championships. Why don't they turn, the next thing you know, they're going to turn these things into Olympic sports also. But you know what? If we're going to be seeing international competitors in video games, why don't we see something that's just as international, like auto racing?
You know,
Auto racing would be a fantastic Olympic
the
sport.
Ferraris, they used to have the Ferrari 500 where they only drove Ferraris and it was the same car and the same muscle power and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in time, they had the World Baseball League that flunked out.
Yeah.
They had so many things that they could have tried, but they all flunked out.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because I'm assuming that the reason. Now they have the World Baseball League. The World Baseball, they do what, every 4 years, though?
You mean the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, the World Baseball Classic. Because they can't do it every year, because then their players may get hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, here's Kurt Angle fighting for the Olympics to keep wrestling in there, which was from the gladiator eras of Roman and Greeks.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that breakdancing, not that I'm saying it's not an art, and they do have competitions.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm going back to old school where it's like, all right, Roman Greco versus breakdancing, where you have that, the line with the ribbon with the stick.
Yeah.
And that's an Olympic sport. And I'm going.
You're talking about rhythmic gymnastics.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful form of artistry.
Yeah, but I think I'd rather see breakdancing.
While we're at it, why don't we see ballroom dancing brought back to the Olympics? It was once a competition at the beginning of the 20th century. Then it was phased out immediately.
Synchronized swimming. That could be nice sometimes.
These synchronized swimmers are really good athletes, though. And it takes a lot of artistry, a lot of storytelling, and a lot of holding of your breath while you're underwater to try and get through.
Yeah, but again, it's not. It's just I'm just trying to figure out who thinks of these things where, okay,
The Olympic Committee.
we're gonna take, let's say, Olympic wrestling out, and we're gonna bring this person in. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna do this in. And
Oh well.
you know, it's also a lot of it's just funny. It's just funny how the committee will do things of that nature. And I'm assuming it's because they want young people in. But if you can get, scholarship for wrestling still, then it should be still an Olympic sport. That's plain and simple. Because you got it for judo. I'm surprised MMA is not going to be the next thing also.
Yeah.
If
anything, they should probably cut out a bunch of the sports that are just not doing well.
Maybe they go by ratings.
It could be, because I know track and field and gymnastics are huge
And ice
ratings
skating.
monsters. Ice skating also for the Winter Olympics, and hockey,
Yeah.
and skiing, and snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, the next Winter Olympics, I think, are going to be in 2022. And if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be in either Beijing, China, or South Korea.
And we also talked about the protesting, how the committee has said that if they want to do it over the media or news conferences, that's okay, but don't do it on the field.
Yeah, they decided not to allow any protests during competition. I mean, quite frankly, I don't see what the difference is, because the athletes are still going to protest through the media and outside of the games as well. So it really doesn't make much of a difference. There's no power that's being held over these athletes.
The ones that say, oh, well, you shouldn't protest because it's dangerous to the flag, and that's not what the flag stands for. For those people that don't know, please read the Constitution, and please read what they really fought for, because that's what they really fought for. There are things in there that I don't like when it comes to burning the flag. Protesters can still do it. I may not like it, but they still do it. It's not a law. There isn't a law that says you can't burn the American flag. I may not like it, but it does happen. So if you want to protest because you have the right, because of the people that have fought in the way the Constitution has been given to us, then, again, you may not like the way they're protesting, but don't say it's un-American. Because that's what kills me, that they'll say, oh, well, it's un-American if you protest because that's against the flag. No, it's not. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It is what it is, unfortunately.
Exactly. I don't know how you feel, but I'm just saying that when people say that's un-American, but that's what they fought for, so we can protest. Now, sometimes I don't like to even see it in the sport. You know
what's un-American, Hector?
And so forth. What?
You know what's un-American?
What?
Racism, anti-Semitism, sexism,
Yeah.
murder, drugs. That's totally, completely, all of that is about as un-American as you could probably get.
But they'll put protest up there as if that's one of the major three. Look at what, like I said, Paul Kaepernick still hasn't gotten anything yet, and he's one of the best. He's a lot better than most people think. If you look at his stats, he's a lot better.
You're talking about Kaepernick, right?
Yeah, Kaepernick. Think about it.
It is now 3 years and counting that he has not gotten a job.
And he tried out last year. I'm surprised nobody picked him up as a backup quarterback, but who wants controversy? Because then they're going to be answering, oh, well, Kaepernick, come on now. What was the deal? Oh, I can't. I signed a waiver that I can't say anything.
Michael Vick spent 2 years out of the league because he was serving jail time for dog fighting.
And he came
And
back.
somehow he came back and extended his career by another 12 years. Colin Kaepernick's worst crime was exercising his First Amendment rights. And he's gone 3 years without a job. That, my friends, is un-American.
That's, I think, ridiculous. But
Michael
but
Vick
there's some
murdered dogs.
there's
This
some
is what
people that would
infuriates me more because I'm a dog owner.
Yes.
And to see this scum continuously drowning dogs to death or electrocuting them to death
Fight.
because they couldn't survive a fight against another dog?
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick says, I am protesting against the flag because of racism against black people and other minorities. Yet he's out of a job. Still.
Exactly. But again, I guess people are more forgiving because he did the time. He paid for
Because
his
he
time.
did the crime.
Right. He paid for his time. He did the crime, and that's it. You know, he said, yeah, I did it, and continued on. Not that he doesn't deserve a job either, because everybody deserves a job. But if you did time, you paid for your crime, you know, life goes on. But here's another thing I want you to think about, too. CC Sabathia trying to move in, and I just read an article that he's not too crazy about Michael Kay. Did you read that?
What player or other broadcaster or fan, for that matter, has ever really, really loved Michael Kay?
I think there are some people. He says, if I'm going to be in the broadcast booth, I'm 6'6", I'm 300 pounds. Why do I have to wear a suit? Baseball players don't wear a suit. If I have a jumpsuit, I'll wear it. But
You know why?
wants to
Because
be
it
a
makes them look more
professional.
professional.
He wants to be he's gonna
David
be
Cohn
something
and
Frank
Paul
Capra.
O'Neill were former Yankees and won championships, and they wear suits, and they have no problem with it.
Yeah, I know, but it's just the look, and you know, some people think. Now, I'm surprised he doesn't go to the Spanish, the Spanish broadcasting.
I'm not sure
think
how
it's
good his
good.
Spanish is, though.
Oh well, maybe. Well, that's probably better than his English, right? Or is it the other way around?
Keep in mind, CC Sabathia was born in the San Francisco Bay. I think his English is doing just fine.
Oh, okay. Well, then no wonder he was trying to recruit LeBron James. Speaking of the Nets, about time Kyrie Irving comes back and drops a couple of buckets here and there. And the mighty Knicks beat the Heat. Can you believe that? Yes! As all Michael would say.
Ho hum.
And you know how they let go of one guy to bring this other guy.
I know. Kid from Oregon.
Yeah, and okay, let's talk about Nixon not trading for number one to get Drummond.
That's the first smart thing they've done in almost 20 years.
How old is Drummond?
Wait, who are you talking about?
Drummond from the Detroit Pistons, I think. Is it Detroit?
Yeah, Andre Drummond, you mean?
Yeah, how old?
And for
is he?
and I think he's in his late 20s, early 30s. And unfortunately, we're running out of time, which means we're going to have to bid everybody adieu. Before we continue, we want to say a quick word of thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass.
The Grand Man.
Yep, the Graham man who unfortunately is not here right now. So it looks like I'm going to have to take everybody out.
All right.
So
you take everybody out. I'm
Yep.
glad you're taking me out because I deserve it after putting up with you. So I'm looking forward to a good restaurant. Thank you.
I hate you. Anyway, for everyone here, I'm Jamie.
I'm Hector.
Good night, everyone.